Okay. So this should remind you of Friday stuff. Because I'm telling you right now it's a line segment, correct?
Yes.
So when I'm done, my pieces should be linear, right?
Yes.
Okay, we shouldn't have any cosines or sines in here. Okay, because there's not a circle or an ellipse. Right? So I'm going to show you the cheat way to kind of make this work for everything. Now, we need to know t's between something and something.
Scream out. They know who you are. What are they
Yeah, I saw it. Flag kind of gives you away. It's Mrs. Moore working on something Walker. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make automatically t be between 0 and 1. That's what I'm going to do every time. Let me rewrite that a little better. Now, I could theoretically pick any numbers I want. 0 to 5. I can even go negative, even though we're talking time usually. I can go negative 3 to 7. But I'm going to pick 0 and 1 because they're the easiest to work with, aren't they? 0 and 1 are usually the easiest numbers to work with. So I'm going to force this to be true. So I'm going to force that when I plug in 0 for t, I want it to go through that first point. Because I picked 0, right? And then, when t is 1, I want it to go through this point. Start and stop. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do every time. I'm going to force it to start at 0 and go through the first point, end at 1 and go through the second point. You could theoretically pick any numbers you want. The book and me, we will usually stick with 0 and 1. Because they're the easiest to work with. Now, like I said, we know it's a line segment, so my pieces are linear. So I'm going to set up x, a plus bt. You agree that is linear?
Yes.
And I just use a and b, so y I'm going to use c and d. But that's your mx plus b, correct?
Yep.
But m and b I'm not going to use because they have no context here. You with me there? So let's see. When t is 0, so if I plug in 0, when t is 0, what do I want the x to be? Negative 2. Don't I want my x to be negative 2 when t is 0? So in other words, a is negative 2, right?
Yes.
Let's do over here, when t is 0, I want my y to be 1. So c is 1. You follow that logic? Because when I plug in 0, I want this to be my x and y. So now let's clean that up, because I know a little more. X is no longer a plus bt, it's negative 2 plus bt. Y is 1 plus dt. Now I'm going to repeat the process. When I plug in t is 1, I want my x to be 3 now. You follow that?
Yes.
When I plug in 1, I want the x to be 3. So that tells me b must be 5. Likewise over here, when I plug in 1 for t, I want the y to be 5. So that means d must be 4. So if I plug those back in, x is negative 2 plus 5t. Y is 1 plus 4t. Do not forget, t is in between 0 and 1. Because this has no meaning unless you tell me what t was started and ended at. The good thing about these problems, they're all the same. Questions? It's going to be an interesting video to watch on that.